Hey, Sam here. Today, we're going to be talking about the world of Meda itself, some of its inhabitants, and some of the lore. Like many other elements in this game, the lore of our world has seen many changes throughout the years this project has been developing. Now, this is quite a tricky subject to dive into, considering the fact that we don't want to spoil the game itself upon release. We, however, are still very excited to share a piece of this world with you, in hopes that you too may develop some excitement as this video unfolds. Let's go to the beginning. Meda is the continent of a strange distant universe. As ancient in time as it is in land, the world itself is blessed with many unusually scenic environments. It is a land that is split into 4 distinct regions. To the north are the immense snowy mountains, to the east are the deeply rooted forests, to the south are endless sweeping deserts, and to the west are the stretches of vast highland plains. In the center of the world lies a grand town surrounded by grassland and rolling hills. We wanted to create a non-linear world to explore, one that felt expansive but familiar too. The methodology we chose to guide ourselves by was creating a universe that felt familiar to the player, but one where we could express ourselves as deeply as we wanted within such familiarity. The philosophy I refined from my process of writing is about the balance between the meta and the complex. The meta here is all about the game displaying itself as a simple yet classic world. 4 grand regions of snow, forest, desert and plains. A world where you can explore quests, stories, characters, monsters, weapons and loot. A familiar world to all. The complex, however, is where we express our values and ideas within. To take what feels familiar, and in many ways, create a world within a world. This was an incredibly important method for us, as it was a guide we used to shape the entire world that we are still writing even now. Meda was not always as it is in the present day of the world that you will explore. The geography of the world has been colossally changed by a few particular figures as a result of natural disasters that occurred a long time ago. Among this, a major calamity took place, where the bridge between the spirit world and the physical world were made, causing spirits to re-enter the world of the living, leaving Meda haunted by those that once were. The current time, where you will enter, takes place long after this event. When this game first started taking shape, we were quite fresh when it came to writing a fun, engaging world that we wanted to play through ourselves, let alone offer to others. The first tasks we engaged with were to not only create the world itself as a foundation, but to create history that predated the times and events of Meda's current day. We did, however, attempt to start a world from the moment of playtime, but we found it incredibly difficult to even attach ourselves emotionally to a world that had experienced nothing. So, we withdrew from that method and focused solely on creating a foundation without any thought of narrative. We started researching, writing and designing geography, architecture, weather, climates and cultures. When we had accomplished that to an acceptable degree, we started working backwards. We thought about why this world exists and whether this world should always be as it was. As it turned out, the more we dived into the writing of Meda's history, the more we started developing ideas for beings that live here. Stories that could unfold, and eventually, exactly where our current story should take place. Then we became obsessed and the whole world suddenly felt personal. So, we started writing characters. There are 5 main races that live in this world, settled in each of the main regions. The aesthetic, characteristics and temperament of each race are defined and stylized by the regions and settlements in which they have been written. While the settlements will be inhabited with many common NPCs to fill the world, there are also many unique NPCs with names, backgrounds and roles that they will fulfill. There are shopkeepers, blacksmiths, bowers, friends, mentors, enemies, beasts, spirits, and all sorts of interesting beings. Many of the settlements that are occupied as such are filled with diverse culture and personalities. Not everybody is hostile, but not everybody is friendly either. Some folk may welcome you with open arms. Some may be quite wary, and others may want nothing to do with you. Some folk may offer different quests or reveal secrets and treasures that are kept closely guarded. One of the things we love about adventure games and those of the like are the towns and cities that are full of NPCs that make the place feel alive. On top of that, being able to interact with everyone completely changes the dynamic between animated assets and living characters. For example, Everyone you encounter throughout Meda can be spoken to. We are writing an entire index of dialogue that will give life to the people that reside here, embellishing on the expansive narrative of our world and the immersion we want to feel. As I mentioned before, within the complex of the meta is where we can express ourselves the way we want, and that idea carries throughout every other aspect of the game. In the instance of characters, we wanted to play with the idea of polarizing certain characters that hold pre-existing expectations from the audience. For example, every town of every adventure game, film or novel has a token drunkard. The man who can be trusted to remain the drunken fool as a result of seeming boredom and unintelligence. Classic. What if it was a drunken female? What if it's a drunken female merchant who is always drunk because she's too scared to travel at night? Perhaps she can only travel at night based on what she's trading. Who knows? But the idea of taking a common trope and flipping it on its head whilst remaining familiar is quite an exciting way of writing characters. It leaves plenty to explore without creating characters that feel incoherent with the world. It also offers room for inspiration for the way we write other types of beings for this world, being so important that I feel like they need their own section. The spirits of Meda wander the land with sober hearts. While some seek retribution and reckoning, others seek solace and companionship. There are even those that radiate warmth and compassion, offering guidance and protection to weary travelers. Each spirit, a unique manifestation of emotion and energy, may hold a story waiting to be discovered, inviting players to unravel the depths of their existence and forge connections beyond the boundaries of the physical world. It is known in Meda that those of the spirit world often form physical manifestations in the ways in which they died as humans or beasts. It is said, however, that those whose lives were unwillingly taken form monstrous beings that often endeavor to make their way back to the physical world. As with the way we've been writing the other characters, the spirits will also present themselves from a much more enigmatic way. They will revolve even more so around the idea of subversion of expectation. We don't aim to hold your hand when it comes to judging what spirit may want to harm you. There are spirits that may even be frightened of you. This process of writing became just as exciting as the one for characters. While there are many more spirits to write and create, playing with a far more open field with temperament, as opposed to designing outright malicious and violent spirits, allows us to fill the world so much easier and efficiently. While creating spirits that can range from timid to dangerous opens much more opportunity for quests, stories, and loot, it also creates opportunity for the player to emotionally impress on these spirits. We want to write characters that feel memorable and captivating, and this perspective makes the writing process so much fun. Aside from Meda and its inhabitants, we want the atmosphere of this world to feel as mysterious as it is in beauty. Beauty and mystery have always gone hand in hand, especially in adventure. There will be many curious aspects of our game, from caves of ancient stone to elder spirits that have remained in the physical world long before humans ever existed. We are writing this world in hopes of invoking natural curiosity that allows you to lose yourself as deeply as you wish. So, here we are. The endeavor of creating this world and all that live here has easily become one of the most beloved aspects of this project. Not only do we get to create a universe the same way we have since we were kids, but we are also constantly learning and growing as people and expanding on how we think about life in general. There is lore and history everywhere you go, and the more we write, research, and read, the more we look at game development from the perspective of narrative. On the same note, if you are writing your own world, I strongly encourage you to look at the world from as many different perspectives as possible, as there is inspiration to be found everywhere. So there's a little piece of our world, and I very much hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining us as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon.